A frustrating thing in our homes could be our electrical breaker tripping, and it really shouldn't be tripping all the time. It should trip only if there's a problem. It is a safety feature. I've brought Kevin Lipps onto the program from Lipps Electric to help me sort through all this. How you doing, buddy?
I am awesome. Thank you for having me again, Jim.
Yeah, thanks for being the expert on the show today.
Of course.
So, as I said, an electrical breaker is designed to what we call trip, to break the circuit if there's a problem. It's like an emergency switch. And it does it automatically if it's designed correctly, if it's working correctly.
Yes.
What could be tripping the breaker?
There's a handful of reasons why. The most common is having an overloaded circuit.
Mm,
That's where you're plugging in too many devices on that circuit, where it's going to exceed the capacity. We've spoken before, or we talked about 15 amp breakers versus 20 amp breakers versus 30s, and then you get into two poles, and that's a whole other topic. But if you are putting in a device, in a very common one, and the example I like to use a lot is talking about heaters. It could be
mhm.
a blow dryer, or it could be a space heater that you use in the wintertime in your living room, and or heaters outside. But the most common is that living room heater. So people will come in, and a lot of times in your living room, those they're typically 15 amp circuits for the outlets, and you're using a device that can draw 20 amps. So that heat, now some of the newer ones don't draw as much, but majority of the heat will pull 20 amps, and that can melt that outlet. And you don't want your outlet to melt. So what will happen before it starts to melt is it will trip the breaker. And that's kind of the purpose of it, is to protect from an overloaded perspective. But you also have short circuits and ground faults, which I can get into the wiring. But those are the typical reasons for tripping breakers.
Yeah, we've spoken about the problem with a melting outlet or wire. That's a common cause of house fires,
Yes.
and we don't need that. It's so important to have an electrical system, all the circuits in your home to be operating correctly. And it's so easy to make a mistake because it's possible if you, as the homeowner, decide to change a breaker, maybe it's tripping a lot and it says 15 on it, and you decide to go to the store, find something that looks like it that says 20, and you're like, I'll try this. It's a bigger number.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a no-no.
That might not work because the wire is not designed for that. So
It's more dangerous.
yeah,
It
there
is
could
the
be a
worst.
problem.
That's the worst choice.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
And we see it. We see it, and what it does, just so you know, is that will allow a larger current of power run through that smaller wire than designed.
Mhm.
So the wire typically will probably hold it until the connections. Well, every wire in your home is connected and has connected either to a device or wire um, connections made throughout the home in the boxes. And you'll see it more common than you would like to hear, melting wire nuts. And if you put a bigger breaker on that wire, it will cause that. And now
Yep.
it's a matter of time. So then you got to just pay attention if you smell anything, or if you hear any, like, it can get dangerous real quick.
Yeah. Um, Smell, you could actually see smoke. You can see, some black residue on an outlet. That's never good.
No,
It means something's up. Something may have been up, so I'd recommend unplugging it if you could actually switch that circuit off on the panel before Lips comes out. That might be a good idea too to make
correct.
sure
Yeah. If you
there's
if
no
you sense
power
it,
going to it.
if you can't figure out what circuit it's on, you'd be better off shutting off everything in the house and getting
Mm,
someone out.
yeah,
You really would.
absolutely. Kevin, as always, fantastic advice. I appreciate your expertise when it comes to the electrical systems in our home.
Great. Thanks, Jim.